So going back to the first one, when you said, should you apply the same target curve to all the speaker groups? Here's what I would say. Yes, but this goes back to that idea where we've talked about making sure all your speakers are appropriately capable. Now, in my system, all of my speakers in each of their respective groups could have the same target curve applied to them because all of them are being base managed in such a way that whatever I'd be applying to them isn't going to push them beyond their limits. But here's something you have to remember. If a speaker is capable of, for the sake of argument, 95 dB at 1 meter at 100 hertz, and you've applied 3 dB of boost at that point, you didn't take it from 95 to 98. I think most of you get that. That's obvious, right? It's still 95. That's all it can do. But what that means is that if the speaker had a flat response, then you can do 95 dB across the board. But if you've boosted it, now in the mid-range and treble, you can only do 92 dB. So you've actually lost 3 dB of headroom with that boost because you can't, the speaker will never be capable of more output than its max output at that frequency is. And when you use EQ, then you've actually turned that into the upper limit of the system. The only exception to this is not something you can do, and that's if you get into multi-band limiters, which is something that for advanced calibrators, I wish we had access to because at least I know how to set them. And so I think you could do neat things with those because I do think that when a system is being pushed just momentarily into these extreme dynamics, that the sudden shift in spectral balance that would happen from that, it's happening anyway. These systems are compressing and distorting. So if you could create something where it can't make mechanical noises that are problematic and it can't distort, you're just going to get some compression from it. That actually would be much less detrimental than if you just let it naturally do what it's going to do when you push it up against or beyond its limits. Obviously, the best scenario is to not be able to push it up against its limits, but that's not really feasible for most. Even my system, those ceiling speakers definitely have an upper limit. So, yes, you should be applying the same target curve across the board. You should be base managing them. What I would do is, if your tops, for instance, more than likely your ceiling speakers don't have a lot of bass output. That's pretty typical of ceiling speakers. And you should be applying a high-pass filter to them. But what I would do is use a higher high-pass filter on those speakers than on the others. It doesn't matter what the system automatically detects or puts in or anything like that. And this is true of all correction systems, not just Dirac. What I would do is I would actually apply something like 100 or even 150 hertz to the ceiling speakers.